Welcome to the demo table. Today I'm going to show you how to play Epic PvP Fantasy. Epic PvP is a very fast game to learn, very fun, with great evolving depth over time, lots of replay value. But all you're going to need is this short video and you will know everything you need to know how to play this great game. We'll start with setup. You know, setup in most games is kind of a chore, but setup for Epic PvP Fantasy is actually a lot of fun. Because in the setup, you get to pick what character you're going to play. And you do that by picking a fantasy race and a fantasy class. And that defines your character. Say you want to be the Dwarf Barbarian, you can be that. Say you want to be the Goblin Paladin, go for it. That's part of the fun of Epic PvP, is exploring these combos. So after you've chosen your character, you're going to take the card that represents your race and class and put those right in front of you. Then you're going to shuffle together the cards that go with each of those choices you've made to make your character deck. So now your character deck is full of cards that represent that race and that class that you chose. You're going to draw yourself a hand of 5 cards, and then you're going to set up your life pile. Your life pile is sort of like your hit points, and that number can be found on your cards in front of you that define your character. So right here, you can see that I'm playing the Goblin, so I have 4 life. So I'm going to take 4 cards off the top of my deck, and without looking at them, I'm going to put them over here into a pile. When those cards are gone, I'm out of the game and I lose. You'll also want to leave a little bit of space between you and your opponent, so you have place to play cards later on. That's it, we're ready to play. Turns. Turns are straightforward, fast, and go back and forth until one player wins. The player with the highest total initiative goes first. You'll find your initiative on your class and race cards. I have a total of 7 initiatives, so I'm going to go first. During your turn, you do a few things, and you do them in this order. The first thing you do is you add to your aggression. Aggression is what gives you energy to play moves. And at the start of each of your turn, you add 2 cards to your aggression pile, which I like to keep right here in front of my class and race cards. These cards will power up the moves in my hand. Draw cards, title card. Draw cards / optional title card. The next thing you do in your turn is you can draw cards into your hand if you want. This is optional. One of the really unique features about Epic PvP is that you don't draw cards from your deck. You draw cards from your aggression pile. And remember what I said, your aggression pile is how you power up the moves in your hand. So every card you draw is going to leave you a little less power to play your moves. When you decide if you want to draw, you just declare how many you're going to draw, and you take that number of cards and you add them to your hand. Now, I could draw 1 or both of these cards and put them into my hand, but it's the first turn of the game and I want all the aggression I can have, so I'm not going to draw any cards on this turn. Play moves, title cards. Now, we're in the meat of the turn, where you get to play moves. These moves are attacks and blocks that you play in an attempt to keep yourself from being damaged and damage your opponent. Here is a basic move card. This card has no special ability. Up in the upper left-hand corner is the cost. That's how much you have to have in your aggression pile before you play this card. So I couldn't play this card yet because I only have 2 aggression. This is the block value of the card. That's how good this card is at blocking. At the bottom of the card, in the red star, is the attack value of the card. And then down here is an icon which shows you which deck this card came from. This card is part of the rogue deck. And of course a name and a space for some art. Now obviously, some moves have some fun special text. We'll get into that a little bit later. Now when you play a move during your turn, you can play moves with the total cost up to the amount of your aggression. So in this first turn, I have 2 aggression. I can play a card with a cost of 2. The next thing you do after you've played all of your moves for the turn is you decide if you want to block any of the incoming moves that your opponent may have played in the last turn. This is the first turn of the game, so I have nothing left to block. To do that, I would just line up my move with their move, and as long as my block was as high or higher than my opponent's move's attack, I would block the move and it would be discarded. After blocking, you take damage. If there's any cards you can't block, you lose 1 card from your life pile for every card that gets through. It's important to note that you lose 1 card for every move that gets through, not 1 card for every point of attack that the card has. So after a card deals damage, it gets discarded. And then to show your turn is over, you spin your card around. This puts the attack value of your card facing your opponent. So now your opponent knows what they need to block on their next turn. Card, some other things to know, special cards. In addition to moves, each deck has a couple of special cards in them. These cards don't have a cost. To play them, just follow the text, such as Skitter Away here. Skitter Away is a special card from the Goblin deck, which is actually spectacularly good and blocks all enemy moves that come in that turn. The only penalty being you're only allowed to play 1 move the turn you play this. It's a great card. And every deck has a couple of those. Just follow the text, play them when they say you should play them, and you'll be on your way. Some other things to know. Super fun move text. All decks have a few basic moves in them. These are moves with no special game text. But most of the cards in your deck have special game text in them, such as Gleeful Slash here, which says if you damage your enemy with any move, you get to add a card from your deck to your aggression pile. Card permanents. Some cards in epic PvP can become permanents during the game. That just means they stay in play and they give you a special power as long as they're still out in play. One such card is Go for the Knees here from the Goblin deck. Now it becomes a permanent if it's blocked, which leaves some really interesting decisions for your opponent. Would they rather take the damage or let Go for the Knees become a permanent for you and then grant you a special power? There are lots of different cards that become permanents, and they become permanents in lots of different ways. Title card icons. You will often see one of 2 icons in the card text in epic PvP. These are just there to remind you when those powers happen. If you see the gold shield icon, that means that ability will happen during your turn, because that's the turn where you play your cards with the gold shield up. If you see an icon with the red star on it, that means it's an ability that actually happens during your opponent's turn, so you'll want to remember you have it, and that's because on your opponent's turn, your moves have the red star up. It's just a reminder on when your card abilities go off. In some games of epic PvP, you will run out of cards in your deck. That's called getting tired. So if your turn starts and you run out of cards in your deck and you need more cards, that's fine. Just shuffle your discard pile up and make a new draw deck. But it's important to know that every time you do that, you take 1 point of damage first. So you take your point of damage, and then you shuffle your deck back up to make a brand new draw deck. So that's all you need to know how to play. I thought I'd show you a few sample turns so you can see the game in action. All right, so here we are. We're playing a game of epic PvP fantasy. I got the Goblin Rogue with an initiative of 7. Jordan has the Human Druid with an initiative of 6, so I go first. I take 2 cards and put them into my aggression pile. Gives me 2 to spend for the turn. So I will come at him with a feint. So now it is Jordan's turn, and I show that by spinning my card around. So now the attack is putting pressure on Jordan, and Jordan has to decide how he's going to deal with this attack coming at him. It's early in the game. Easy block. He's got 2 to my 2. That's enough to block. He spins his card. Vicious Elbow has the ability to give other moves +1 attack, but he has no other moves in play. That's my turn. All right. I am going to block his Vicious Elbow with the basic strike, and I'm going to play Hidden Blade. Hidden Blade is the only 0-cost move in the game right now, and it is exclusive to the Rogue deck. So I spin these around, that gets blocked and gets discarded. And now Jordan is in a real tough spot. He's got a 4 attack and a 1 attack coming at him, and he's only going to have 4 aggression to spend this turn. All right. so, okay, Jordan is going to block my Hidden Blade with the 3 to the 1. And this card isn't enough to block, but he can still play Quick Stab. And he spent his total of 4. This goes to the discard pile. Now the basic strike is going to deal damage. So Jordan takes the damage. And then my rogue ability, printed my card here, says that when I deal damage, my opponent has to discard a random card, then draw a replacement from his deck. And pick this one. And then he draws to replace that. It's a really good ability when someone's setting up for a combo later. Now that this card has dealt its damage, it goes away. Cards never stay around for more than a turn. Unless they're permanents, obviously. Alright, now I have to deal with the 3 and the 1. So I add to my aggression pile, and I've got 6 aggression to spend, and I only have a 3 and a 1 out there, but unfortunately Quick Stab says this move hits if any of my other moves hits. And if you look at the cards in my hand, I could block Quick Stab, but I would still take damage from it. So now I have to decide if I want to draw any cards from my aggression pile so that I might be able to block both of those. And this is one of the great decisions in the game. I don't know how many cards I want to draw. I'm going to draw 2, but now I only have 4 aggression left. And I only managed to block 1 with my 4 here. So I'm still going to take damage from the Quick Stab, and that's how epic PvP goes. You keep playing back and forth until one of the two of you has no life left. So there you have epic PvP. It's a game with a lot to discover as you try new deck combos, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you want to try it out, go ahead and download the Print and Play and give it a shot. It's a lot of fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Thanks for watching.